Hey everyone, if you caught my last tutorial, you know that Nathaniel from tutvid.com and I have teamed up to bring you a series of tutorials inspired by 365psd.com, a site where you can download completely free PSD files for you to use in your projects. Today's tutorial has been inspired by the beautiful wood texture PSD file, which again you can download at 365psd.com. We're not going to be creating exactly this texture. Instead, I'm going to show you how to create this texture here in a few simple steps. The size of your starting document is completely up to you. I'm starting off with a 1280 by 720 pixel document. The first thing we need to do is set the base color for the wood. When choosing your colors, make sure they're slightly lighter than what you want for the final result. For the foreground color, I'm going to choose a reddish orange color. I'm going to go with 9E6945. Now for the background color, it's going to be the darker version of the foreground color, 5E3F2B. Once the colors are set, grab your gradient tool from the tools bar, and at the top on your options bar, make sure that the gradient is set to foreground to background and that radial is the selected gradient. Now drag out a gradient starting near the top of your document right to the bottom. Good, now that the colors are set, let's create our planks. These are simply rectangles which you can make using the rectangle tool in your tools bar. Once you drag out the first rectangle, you can quickly duplicate the rest across the document by grabbing your move tool and then holding down your Alt key on Windows, Option key on the Mac, and dragging. If you have the snap option turned on under the view menu, your duplicated rectangle should nicely snap to the edge of the previous one. Once the planks have filled up your document, let's apply a few layer styles to one of the planks. Double-clicking on one of the layers will bring up our Layer Styles dialog box. In the blending options section, the only option we want to adjust is the fill opacity. Turn that right down to 0% so we can see straight through it. Now let's add a bevel and emboss to give some depth to our planks. Keep the style at inner bevel and the technique at smooth. Now increase the depth to 200 and the size to 8. Down below, turn off global light, set the angle at 0 degrees and the altitude at 50 degrees. This controls the direction of your light. For the highlight mode, keep the color at white, but change the blend mode to overlay and the opacity to 25%. For the shadow mode, we're going to use overlay as well with a 50% opacity. Finally, let's add a subtle drop shadow. Change the blend mode to soft light, the opacity to 60%, the angle to 0 degrees, the distance to 3, and the size to 5. That'll complete our layer styles. Once one of the plank's layer styles are complete, we can easily copy them to the other planks. Right-click on the layer that we just worked on and copy the layer styles. Now, selecting the topmost plank, hold down your Shift key and then click on the bottommost plank. This will select all the layers in between. From here, you can right-click on any of them and paste the layer styles. This will save you a lot of time. And there you go, wood texture and... No, I'm just kidding. We still have the most important part to go, the actual texture. Go ahead and create a new layer and make sure it's at the top of all your current layers. Once it's created, fill it with white. If white is your foreground color, and you can achieve that by pressing D and then X on your keyboard, you can use the Alt Backspace or Option Delete shortcut. When that's done, head up to the filter menu, down to noise, and then add noise. Go ahead and set the amount to around 40%, Gaussian for the distribution, and keep monochromatic checked on. Now to create vertical grain, we need to add some motion blur. Head back up to the filter menu, down to blur, and then choose motion blur. Here you want to set the angle at 90 degrees with the distance all the way to the right. When you accept the filter, you might notice that the middle is slightly lighter than the top and bottom. To correct this, apply the filter 2 or 3 more times. This can quickly be done by using the Command or Control F shortcut. Obviously, wood isn't this perfect. We need to add some variation to the texture. Let's add one more filter. Last time, head up to the filter menu, down to Sketch, and then choose Chrome. I found that a detail value of 3 and a smoothness value of 10 works quite well, but play around with the settings and see what you like. When the filter is applied, to blend the texture with the other elements, change the blend mode of this layer to linear burn. That's looking a lot better. From here you can add a little bit of noise to the texture as well as adjustment layers to tweak the colors if necessary. And there you have it, wood texture in Photoshop. For more tutorials, make sure to check out iceflowstudios.com. And remember, Nathaniel and I will be posting a minimum of 4 tutorials per week, so make sure you're following both of us on Twitter and Facebook. Take care.